Welcome in another episode, guys. Podcast Perspective. I got a very special guest with me today. She's been tattooing for almost 20 years. She's now become a full-time muralist and painter. I feel like you started the self-love kind of persona before it became a thing. Today I have with me Charity.
Oh, thank you so much.
Anything you want to add on that? Anything you want to that I missed that's so amazing that people need to know?
You really summed me up
Okay.
in a couple words, so that was really beautiful. But almost 20 years in tattooing, about 16. Started when I was 15,
Okay.
and right in high school, and it really just began my journey and transformed my art a lot. So I'm very grateful for tattooing because it led me to so many other places like the murals, digital work. Um, it's really been endless. It's afforded me so many hats to wear. Because I even do businesses that are not art based behind that. So I sell cars and I've even cleaned before. So um, uh, I I appreciate that creation has allowed me to like create so many things for myself in my life.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
So you kind of already answered what I wanted to ask, like where you are right now. So
hmm
that's cool. So I kind of want to go back. I kind of want to go through the story a bit. So
Okay.
how did you get into the tattooing? Like how did that come about?
Really, I was just watching at that time. They had Miami Ink. And I saw Kat Von D. I saw that whole crew, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm in high school watching the show.
Mhm.
They're putting art on people's bodies, and I loved the stories that they were telling behind it. So from there, I was like, I'm about to try to do this. Like, I'm gonna make this happen. And I was very, very ambitious, very fearless back then, and so pretty much I made this one drawing. I didn't even have a portfolio. I made one drawing that I thought was like, oh, this is about to get me in the
That was like
building.
your first like drawing.
No, I
Oh,
was
okay.
always drawing before that, but when I saw the show, I was like, okay, I have to draw
A
this
tattoo art.
yeah, I have to draw
Okay.
tattoo art. I have to have this particular this outline or format from it. So from there, I started learning how to create for like a client, I would say. And so I had this one drawing. I'm like, this is gonna get me in a tattoo shop, and it really did. And yeah, just went to a local tattoo shop, showed them it. Was like, I'm trying to learn how to tattoo. I'm 15.
What's up?
What's up? And luckily, just the way the cards aligned, it happened, and I started being in a tattoo shop. Got a informal apprenticeship, but I'm
Okay.
so grateful for it because it really opened so many other doors for me to just keep pushing. It introduced me to that craft, and it gave me a opportunity to move forward in it, which a lot of people don't get afforded, especially
Right.
during that time.
Especially, I mean, yeah, because a lot of kids around 15, 16, you trying to go to McDonald's, Wendy's, Walmart, and you like, y'all hiring? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what was that like? So when you get in there and you asking them these questions and they're, letting you come aboard, what do they do? Do they let you like help out? Do they give you like a booth? Like what was that process like?
Oh, so from there, I was learning a lot of the techniques while also being like the shop. I don't know what you would call it, but I was getting bullied.
Like the assistant around
Yeah,
there.
the assistant. I had to take out trash. I had to do all the dirty work,
Yeah.
which was cool.
You gotta pay your dues.
Yeah, you definitely gotta pay the dues because they gave me so much from that experience. So it was really endless. I got to see. I feel like the more dirtier side of tattooing because my boss at the time, he was like heavy on drugs. It just wasn't the best environment for me to be, anybody to be in, but especially as a child. But I got to see that side of that world.
That true foundation.
Yeah, a whole nother element besides seeing the glitz and glamour on TV. And so I was still interested, and I still wanted to learn more. So I would be there every day after school, trying to soak up as much knowledge as possible.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what year was this when you started?
So I was 15, so that had to be, let's
Okay,
see,
age
let me
like
do the
that.
math. 'Cause I graduated in '08. I was 18, so that was probably like '05, '06.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from there, you're learning the true, like, that side of the tattoo world. So how do you grow from that? So what's next for you? So after having that apprenticeship and seeing how things are going, like, what do you do next? Like, what's the mindset like?
So from there, I mean, I always wanted to just, in my mindset, I always wanted to reach some type of next level. That's always what I try to do. I just want to keep growing. So from there, that shop actually got closed down. Yeah, it happens. It happens. And so that shop closed down, and I tried to just go school route. I was still like tattooing my friends randomly in my grandmother's bedroom. Shout out to grandma.
Shout out to grandma.
Grandma was holding it down. But I was still tattooing on the side, trying to go to school and thinking I need to go the collegiate route and just be an artist the college way. And like 18, when I graduated from high school, I really felt like, okay, this is not what I'm going to do.
You know from the get-go.
Yeah.
You listen to yourself. You know,
right.
Like, this not
what I'm trying to do. I think I did maybe one semester, 1 year, barely there. And things just started aligning where tattooing started coming back into my life. Like, people saw, like, oh, hey, you do tattoo work. You should they always told me to check out the shop. Like, you should go there. It was called Inkaholics at the time. You should go there. You should go work for them. And
that was the world talking to you through them.
It was. And Inkaholics was a great, just like, stepping stone because my friends owned it. They were young. We were all young, either Black or Puerto Rican. We were in there, and it was a great stepping stone. We were all around the same age. For Rochester, we were a big deal. So it was just, like, beautiful. So that was my next step. Just being around a group of people who all had the same drive and ambition as me just to get better. Because at that time, they were definitely what I was looking up to.
Nah, I mean, I agree with that 100%. A lot of people should take that. Like, get around like-minded people, like, who are doing the same things you're doing or going for the same things you want. Because being around those people, they'll bring out that side of you if that's where you want to be. If you want to be a millionaire, hang around millionaires. If you want to be a mechanic, go around a mechanic shop. You can't sit somewhere and be like, I want to paint, but then you're throwing fries in grease and just sitting around like, I'm just over here. I'll figure it out. Like, you have to surround yourself around what you want to be around and who you want to be.
Definitely. Definitely immerse yourself. And I think that's what, like, with each level that I just started getting higher and higher. I really, even when I was in Rochester with Inkaholics, after that I was like, okay, we're here, we're making a good amount of money. It's a beautiful experience, but I saw like there was like a cap in my city, and I was like, okay, I need to see what's out there, and I need to grow like as an artist, as an individual, a business. So I started doing my research and just looking into other artists and shops, and that's how I found City of Ink. And I was like, I have to be here. So I would do anything to get myself down here and do that.
I mean, you just said like something big.
Yeah.
You just said, we're out here in Rochester, we're making good money, but you're like, what's next?
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to get stuck in getting comfortable. That's what a lot of people deal with. And at any level, like, you get comfortable, things start feeling smooth, you start knowing what's next, you start knowing what's around the corner. You know what I'm saying? You start getting, what is that, complacent.
Yeah.
And then once you get complacent, it's easier to fall off because now you just want things to be the exact same way over and over.
Right.
And I like the fact that you seen that, hey, it's time to grow. Like, we're here, and now it's time to, let me see what's next.
Yeah.
So what were your parents like around that time when you not going that regular collegiate route of going to college? Like, what were they doing? How was their support, in those days?
I would say it wasn't there.
Okay.
They were just really, I think they were thinking that I'm going through just a phase, and then that phase lasted a really long
time.
At where we're at now. Yeah. So at first they weren't really feeling it, especially because they saw that I was young and making money, so I was making a lot of awful mistakes.
comes with
partying a
it.
lot
Yeah.
in a small city, get really big headed.
You was a rock star. I
I
mean,
was a rock star, literally. And yeah, they wasn't feeling that because they saw it higher for me, and they didn't even understand the realm of tattooing, but they had this ideal that it was just, drug addicts,
it's all right.
bikers,
They trying to be
like the
safe.
stereotypical thing. They didn't see beyond that. But once I moved down here, once I didn't need them for anything, I was good, and striving here. And then they began to see that. My mother definitely has like done a 360 and really supports my art in all forms. She really loves, the tattoo work I've done now into the murals. So she really appreciates that. My dad, he'll probably never get with the tattooing, no matter how big I get, just because that's so against his religion. He practices Islam.
Gotcha.
But he does appreciate my
He
art
respects
now.
you though. He respects it.
Yeah. He knows I'm on a journey, so.
Yeah. You back to back. You're saying. Because that's a big point too.
Mhm.
Like when you're chasing like a dream or you have like a vision, like nobody can see it but you.
Oh yeah,
You
definitely.
know what I mean? And around those times in 05, 08, 09, like around that recession and all that stuff that was going on, like a lot of times they want you to be safe. Like your parents are going to want you to take the routes that's already been taken. Hey, you're doing this thing. We don't know nothing about it. We don't know nobody who does it.
Yeah.
But it just got to be evil and got to be bad. Like just don't do it. You know. But you was like, nah, I'm gonna do this. This is what I'm gonna do. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
like what was that? What was your side of the conversation like when they were feeling that way? Like obviously you're here, so you kept going. But like, what was that conversation like when you're in? Like explaining to them like this is what I'm gonna do.
And honestly, I didn't really have conversations, with them. It was just them saying and speaking their mind. But for one, I felt like already I was affording myself so much opportunity. Already, I always told myself before I started tattooing, I never want to work a 9 to 5 and have somebody dictate my money and be living paycheck to paycheck, because I seen my parents do that and how much of a toll that was on them. So when I started tattooing, I already saw that I'm making a paycheck in one day. So I already felt accomplished, and anything in their conversation, I feel like we didn't have nothing to talk about. Like, let's just no, and not in a big headed way like that.
My wife, man. I've been saying this the whole time. She is the same way. She'd be like, "What we talking about? Are we getting somewhere? Because
Right.
if we talking in circles, you can go talk to yourself."
But I knew if I gave them that space to talk to them, because I love my parents so much, that they may have talked me out of my dreams and talked me out of things that I was trying to do. So I was like, I'm not even going to have those conversations with them. I'm going to do this. Y'all do that. And like, even when I moved to Atlanta, like, it was no conversation. I was just like, hey, I'm moving in a month. I like their shop. This is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to happen. And because I feel like if I had those conversations with my family, with friends, they'll never understand what I see. So I had to just focus on my particular dreams and goals.
What they call it, proof of concept. They need proof, because we can't see what's in between your ears. So you have to bring the proof of concept. Because when they can physically see the tattoo shop, the tattoos, whatever success that you dictate, then they could be like, I see what you've been saying all these years, because now we can see it. Like, that's the only thing. You got to put that proof of concept on it.
Awesome.
So what was that transition like? Okay, you're in Rhinestone and you're about to go to Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make that move, and then how do you put it together? Like, what was that like?
Well, I think everything just really aligned.
Okay.
So it really started from a seed that was just planted. I remember I was randomly getting a new phone, and this girl was like, she was like, you should, if you in Atlanta, I don't know why we even came up on Atlanta, because we wasn't even talking about, I don't even think I really traveled at that time, but she was like, if you're in Atlanta, you need to check out City of Ink, you need to go work there, you tattoo, that would be a good spot. So
that's how you always get your spot.
Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, I started doing the research on them, fell in love with their story, everything. So I started hitting them up at the time on Facebook, like, hey, I'm coming down, which I'm sure they got a million and one of these all the time. I'm like, hey, I'm coming down. And my work was awful then, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was not amazing at all, but it was okay. It was great for my city, but on a larger scale, no, it had so much room that it needed to grow for sure. And so I just started planting those seeds, and I think like my friends, they ended up moving down there like a month before me, and my friend was like, I'm down here in Atlanta. I'm like, can I move with you? And so really we just started aligning things.
That's the way to bring something to somebody. Like, hey, I'm in Atlanta, man. You like, for real? Can I move with you?
Luckily that friend, she was
like,
she was about
cool.
it. Yeah, she let me move with her. So I literally just packed up my stuff. I think I had maybe like $1,000. I ain't had nothing. I thought I was balling though, but I had $1,000, and I'm like, I'm gonna catch this plane. It was my first plane ever, and just moved down there and came down here with that same goal. I think the first day I went to City of Ink, and I showed them my portfolio, got the runaround, was like, oh, okay, this is cool. You should come back and do some shows and stuff like that. We'll give you a call in a couple weeks, the normal thing. And like 2 weeks into it, I was like, I ain't getting a call. So I did some tattoos on my friends, and I brought them to the shop, and I was like, what's up? And luckily they gave me a chance. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Because that's another like key piece, like, because whenever you're like trying something new, or are you trying to go for something, like a job, whatever it may be for somebody, you try to ask somebody one time and be like, they don't, whatever, they don't know what I got going on.
Right.
And you keep moving, but you was like, I'm about to come back, I'm going to try again, and y'all going to let me in here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Was that like the way you were looking at, like, this is where I'm going to be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, before, and that was, like I said, I planted seeds before, because as soon as I saw their material, because at the time they were like the first, I would say, like, black tattoo artists within America, even the world, that was really, they not only were creating amazing work and color on all skin tones, but they were also visually capturing it too in such a beautiful way. Like their visuals were powerful, and so like to see that, when I saw those videos, I like looked over to my mom. I was crying, and I was like, I'm about to be here. I'm about to work here, and she just like, okay. She ain't see it, but I saw it and I spoke it, and that's where I knew like the voice was powerful. So even before going down there, I told everybody like, oh yeah, I'm about to get a job at City Bank.
So what does that come from? Like, what is that being inside you, being like, this is what I'm gonna do, and like with your mom and dad, like not listening to what they talking about, like where does that grow from, like inside of you, to be like that? Because a lot of people struggle with that, like that believing in themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Trusting themselves.
I feel like I've just always had it as a kid. I don't know if it's like a crazy thing or what, but even with my cousin, I was chilling with her like last summer or something, and she was like, you always, like, since you've been a kid, you always spoke out your dreams, no matter how crazy they sound. You just spoke them out loud. So I feel like I've just always had this since I was a child. Like I had dreams, I had goals. I always wrote them, and I made lists and spoke them aloud. It's something that I've literally been doing since a child. Maybe it's from, I think a lot of it is from seeing how my parents were, my family were. Whenever they did something, they just did it. Yeah. And I saw their hard work, and I probably learned and more from that. And then the writing, I always saw my mom write as in journaling. I always knew my dad was a writer and creative person, so I feel like I just started like bringing all those things together.
You bridged them together and made it your own. No, that's true, because I do the same thing. Like, I have my room upstairs, and like I just write everything on the wall. Like, it's like anybody else see that, be like, I don't know what this is, but like I know everything that's on it. And I had met this guy, shout out to KJ, and like I've always like wrote like lists of things I want to do and ideas, but then he had put me into the concept of like, man, I do lists for everything, and I started this concept of like anything I want. I'm talking about you could take the trash out.
Yeah.
I just love to write it out. I have like a little board by the garage, and I could just write the week. And I love to cross stuff out. Like I don't know what it is, but I love to be like took the trash out.
Yeah.
Went to that meeting. Like it's just it's like completing that list is just like.
Yeah, it's amazing. You see all your accomplishments. You're just getting checked off, which is
like, I'm
beautiful.
I'm getting closer. You know
and
what
it's
I mean?
beautiful because you're even acknowledging the smaller things, like because those smaller things really do help, which is so beautiful.
It most definitely is. So you said you came up, you already kind of believing in yourself. It was like in you as a kid. So like, what's your thing now? Are you like a spiritual person? Are you like a religious person? Like how do you? I don't want to say how you identify yourself, but how do you live life? How about that?
I would say I'm spiritual. I believe in God, definitely a higher power, and I try to live my life as best as possible. Going through the flows, I try to just maintain what I feel is like a good character for myself, and I really just try to. Just dive into my spirituality, be in tune with myself, nature, and to show up better for other people. I try to push out as much positive energy as I can, as possible, trying to uplift people in that realm.
Nah, I 100% believe that because that's a doctrine I live by because I just feel like you get what you put out. Like if you sitting around talking about people, somebody's sitting around somewhere talking about you. So I try not to talk about anybody to any capacity because I'm trying to talk good. Like if I'm talking about Trent, I'm like, man, Trent is the best photographer, videographer, producer, whatever you need. Like because I want him somewhere just saying like, man, he gets there and he's like, I want that same energy. So even with anything, like even with anything I'm doing, people have questions. I try not to do it too much, but I kind of share what I want with them on a personal level and try to help them out because I feel like the more people you can touch and reach and help, that higher the chances of when you fall off. Because it's not if you fall off. When you fall off a little bit, you have that person to catch you and be like, nah, come back up here because, I remember what you did for me. Like, that changed my life. Like, it could have been the smallest thing. Like, you just picked me up and let me just go see something with you. Or you just, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you did, like, that little nugget, 2 years later, it just hit me and it just helped me just take off. Like, you know what I'm saying? So definitely. I try to live like that. Give out more than I'm trying to expect back. And doing things, not expecting nothing back. Just doing it. But not wasting my time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. You know when to weed things out.
Yeah, you know when it's like, all right now, buddy, you asked me for $5 4 times this week. What's going on?
Yeah.
Now, so with the no, I want to touch on that one more time.
Okay.
So, like, I remember you saying like you had this in you as a kid, the way your mom and dad is, and the way you kind of like went for what you wanted. Like, when did you start getting into like that spiritual side and trusting yourself? Because I remember like through this conversation, you were saying like you kind of just knew how things were gonna go, and you kind of let things like happen. Like, like was that also just the child you just living it out and just believing in yourself? Was there like a spiritual side, or were you like kind of just going and just, you know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I feel like my spirituality I got a lot from my parents, and I got to see two very different perspectives. They're more into the religious side, but I believe it's like all very spiritual. Those are just titles to me. So I got to see two different perspectives because my mother, she's Christian. Then I got to see my grandmother, she's Catholic, and then my father, he practices Islam.
You got it all.
Yeah, I did, and I got to see the way that they practiced, the way that they prayed, the way that they just believed in things in their life. Anything that they wanted, they just believed that it was going to happen. They prayed for it. And they, in return, they probably spoke out those things a lot. And anything they believed in, they spoke it into their world. So I really got that from them and nourished that from them. And I felt like I just had another level of just like fearlessness, really from that. And to my parents, and as a child, they never said like, "Oh, you can't do this," or you can't do that. They sort of, even whether they understood it or not, they always just let me sort of flow into myself. If I wanted to do art, they let me do it. They encouraged it. If I wanted to, I played the trumpet. If they wanted to do that, they encouraged it. Yeah. So they always sort of like allowed me to just be who I was and flow freely, and I just really just started to spiral outrageously through my life.
You have your creativity and the way it make you just feel like anything is possible. My parents was the same. My father was the same way. My grandmother, like, just like, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I come with the craziest thing that's just like, do it.
Yeah.
Make it happen. If you can figure it out, do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the same way. So I want to go back to the tattoo. I want to go to some of the fun stuff, some of the funny stuff. So like, what is some of the funniest like things that happen, like tattooing, like having clients and stuff like that? Like, what's something that comes to mind where you like, man, that was crazy?
Let me think. I mean,
like, could it be like I know like some artists like they hate dealing with people who like move a lot, or maybe you had somebody in there who like anything that comes to mind.
Probably the drunk people. It's like the worst, because they like get drunk and pass out, or get drunk and throw up everywhere, or just do belligerent things in the shop. So that probably had to be some of the funnest moments, because you just see a whole nother side of a person while they're getting tattooed and you're doing your job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's some of your favorite pieces to tattoo? Like, is it a certain way, certain style you like, or do you kind of just let people just like whatever you like?
I do enjoy whatever people like, but I do really personally, I'm drawn to more bold work. I do like colorful work. Towards the end of my career, I started liking a range from like watercolor pieces, which were like very more abstract and free flowing. But then I also really love like mandalas and like sacred geometry and things like that. I love the structure of them. But I like pieces that tell a story. So, like women empowerment pieces, I did a lot of those, or just a person taking stuff from people's lives and illustrating them within the piece was also very fun too.
Yeah, I was telling you about mine off air. So, before we get off the tattooing topic, what's that whole thing with like color tone and getting color on dark skin? Like, is that true that darker skinned people can't get color, or is it certain colors? Like, what's the whole thing behind that?
Oh, that's not a thing.
People always told me that. I always heard when I try to get my legs clear, it's just like, the color's not gonna look that good on you. Like,
well, that's just because they don't know how to tattoo color on all different complexions. So that's where they're lacking, and they take that and try to make you feel like it's just impossible because they just can't do it. But there's plenty of people who show example every day now, from past, present, and future, that apply color on all complexions, and it can definitely be done. Like there are colors that do work better, but it's really a case by case situation. So we could say like, oh, cooler tones like blues and purples might not be the best on your complexion, but then they show up very, very well. So it is about an experimentation for sure, but it's always possible. It's just things that you have to do within the tattoo to make it show better. So like for instance, just really quick, you're not gonna put a color piece on somebody with with melanin in their skin and make it very small. You want to make the image larger so you could really see the color show through. You're gonna want larger pockets of color so that you can really see that. You want to slow the machine down sometimes and really slowly move it in there. You don't want to like overwork the skin or rush it in there. It's a process. You have to take your time with it.
It's art.
Yes, it is. Definitely an art form.
Speaking of art, nice segue. So now you officially don't do tattoos anymore, and you're going into the murals and the paintings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's that transition? Like, why did you stop the tattooing and went that route?
It was another speaking thing. I always wanted to as I came down here and started tattooing more, I began to, flourish within my love for art even deeper. And so it's been like a slow build, but towards the end of my tattoo career, I was really like, I want to dive more into my art because I felt that like that was way more personal. So slowly but surely, every year for like the past 5 years, I've been slowly transitioning away from tattooing and building up my art career and muralist career more, and just taking different leaps within that time.
And another cool thing I seen you said was online. You were like, you're not doing it for the money. Like, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like, is it just like just explain that a bit for me?
Okay. Well, with my artwork, I feel like with tattooing, it's more for the person. Like, I was really making for the client.
Yeah.
So like, and though things started morphing into my style where I got to show my style more, I felt like it wasn't authentically full on just me. And so I felt like moving into an artist, it wasn't really about it's not about the money. It's more about I get to finally, I feel like, fully creatively express myself.
Feel more free.
I do feel more free. And I get to fully express myself more. And I felt like another thing, it's like tattooing, I felt like in my mind, now it's not for everybody, but I felt like it had a cap as far as the audience or the amount of people that I could inspire from my artwork, because it's like if you're not really into tattoos, you're probably not even gonna cross the art or the path or the story or anything like that. So I felt like transitioning more into as an artist not only allowed me to express myself, but it too opened more doors for me to share those stories of empowerment and inspiration and hopefully touch way more people. And I don't even have to be there. I could have a mural there and somebody get affected by it, and I don't even have to touch them. They could just feel it through that piece. Yeah.
I see that you like a growth junkie, a freedom junkie. Like, you just love to just keep going and not stop.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it's been going well because I see you've been with some big brands, KG Fashion, Microsoft Atlanta. So like, I can see that it's going well for you. So what's the goal with it? Where do you see it going? And doing the paintings and the murals, like, do you do any personal work? Do you do only for brands, or like what's that like?
I'm open to anything. I do like to work with more brands because I do feel like they value a little bit more as an artist.
Yeah.
But I'm always open. Like, I love community projects. Those have been really fun to actually work with communities and push out stories through there. I do personal clients. I've especially more with like digital work. I have worked with some personal clients, and then I also produce my own artwork. So I paint on my own and do put that out there too.
I love it.
Thank you.
I wish we could talk forever, man. We could just keep talking and talking. But I don't want to keep you forever.
For sure.
So like, tell people like, anything you have coming out, any information, what you have going on, anything like that you want to tell people.
Honestly, I really don't have nothing for y'all right now. I'm gonna keep it real funky, because I feel like the past 16 years of my life, I was always just producing things so much. Yeah. This time is I'm really working on myself. I'm really working on my art. For myself, after a couple more projects, I'm really just working on some art pieces for myself. Maybe those will get put out. Maybe they won't. Yeah, but I've just been really working on me. So work on you during this time. Have a little fun with that.
Nah, I know it because like your name, your Instagram handles and stuff, like you've always like pushed like, I feel like that freedom like vibe, like how your name was Love Live Cake, and then what it is now, creating freedom now. Like I feel like how now like that's the thing, like mental health and self-love. Like I feel like you were pushing that like before it was a thing to push. Like you already was trying to fall in love with yourself, trying to be free. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
thank you.
Giving you your flowers now for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So we'll have Instagram handle in the video of her, where you can find her at, anything she's working on, anything she have going on. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and appreciate you for watching. We out.